Okay, Venerable Brother, Dhamma friends, we are going to start the second Dhamma discussion for this Kalalgoda English Medium retreat. As usual, Chandrika is ready with the written questions. We will start the session with written questions.
Avasarai Bhante, we have received 6 questions today.
Right.
Report number 1, Most Venerable Bhante. This has 2 parts. I will read both one at a time. Most Venerable Bhante. Sitting meditation. The mind was very chaotic yesterday, but was quite calm this morning. As before, the breath became very subtle, and I felt as if the breath was sort of ascending to a higher location. As it kept getting finer and finer, there was clarity and calmness. Is it beneficial to start the Anapanasati session by doing a metta meditation first? Sometimes I feel it helps to calm the mind. At other times it is more like just a chanting.
Okay, I mean that's kind of a strategy that you can use. Say immediately assume that you are in a very good mood, quite happy, joyful, and then you don't need to go to Metta, Buddha, Nusati, because already you are in a good mood and the mind is very settled and you are quite favorable for Anapanasati. But on the other hand, assume that you went through various ups and downs and say mind is somewhat agitated, maybe a little bit of resentment is there, hate is there. On such situation, if you immediately start Anapanasati, it might not be successful. On such situation, better you go through a little bit of Metta or Buddhanusati so that your mind become quite happy. And it is, by the way, it's not a long practice, maybe about 5-10 minutes practice. And later, once you recognize, okay, mind has now somewhat all right, has come to the middle, fairly equanimous and not agitated, not hateful, going through any kind of ill will. So then now you can switch to Anapanasati. So that depends actually, depending on the situation. So if you recognize once you are sitting, once you recognize the mind is not suitable or agreeable with the Anapanasati practice, then you can practice a little bit of Metta or Buddhanusati, and then you recognize, okay, now the mind is ready, then you can start Anapanasati. So the Anapanasati becomes your primary object. So these are very much like supportive meditations, or sometimes we call them as guardian meditations, Chaturarakka Bhavana. So time to time you can take some advantage from them. And later, interesting thing is, as we continue, the Satipatthana comes to the front, it becomes more powerful, and later you will understand now others are not necessary. Because Satipatthana has such a capacity to fully take part of your whole mind. Now the whole, say, management of the mind is totally happen through the Satipatthana. On such situation, now you don't need Asubha, or Marananusati, Metta, Buddhanusati. Those are now not necessary. But at the beginning, they are quite useful.
Part 2 of this report. This isn't related to the practice, but I want to know whether when we spread Metta to someone, if it reduces their suffering and if they feel any difference, or is it solely for our benefit? Much gratitude and respect.
Maybe both. I mean, definitely both. It's more benefits is to you because you are practicing Metta, your mind become happy and you are emanating some good vibrations. So your body, your mind become peaceful. So you yourself are the one mostly getting benefited. And on the other hand, there is a certain amount of impact on the other party as well. So these are to some extent found through scientific research. So we can't say they are merely beliefs. So there are certain amount of scientific research. Now, say for example, using the water crystallization. So series of water crystallization research were conducted, and they were using water and they are doing some parita chanting or metta or that kind of practices, and how the crystallization happened. On the other hand, if they are not doing it, how the crystallization happen. And on the other hand, if they are doing something, say, unwholesome kind of thing, then how the crystallization happened. They are quite different. So there are enough evidence for that. And on the other hand, certain other evidences are there that, you don't have any kind of a distance limit. If you are thinking of someone and emanating metta, so the other party, whoever in the other side of the world, still might have a little bit of impact. So these are also to some extent proved. But we can't have certain concrete type of results that immediately say assume that your parents are not well now. So you are practicing metta, expecting them to recover in the evening. So you are practicing metta in the morning and you expect them to recover in the evening. It may not happen. So you have to consult a doctor. Plus metta as well. So everything, it is not a single cause. There are many causes causing our situation. Maybe the bodily sickness and all these things are depending on so many conditions, so many causes. So everything has to become aligned for us to recover. For example, Buddha discussed about 8 reasons, 8 causes in the Girimananda Sutta. Pitta samuttana abada, semma samuttana abada, vata samuttana abada, then utuparinamaja abada, visama pariharaja abada, opakkamika abada, then kamma vipakaja abada. So likewise, different causes are there. Say as a result, you might have heard about 3 humors, vapitsem, so the phlegm, air, bile and all, something like that. In the Ayurveda, maybe, what's that, Disna, right? Disna might know. She's, by the way, from the opposite side, the Western medicine. So there are causes like that, causing the body to get sick. And then when all 3 comes in a not properly balanced, then that also can become a cause. Then the climatic issues, that also another cause. Then someone else's impact, say someone else hurting you, hitting you, harming you, that's another result, another cause. And visama pariharaja, so you are completely careless about your health. Say you are using alcohol or say using cigarettes or whatever, you are not practicing any kind of healthy practices, then of course you get sick. So visama pariharaja, you are not careful about your well-being of the body particularly. And the last one is mentioned as the kamma vipakaja abada. So kamma also plays a role. So there are many reasons for us to get sick. So our sickness, assume that currently we are going through a certain amount of sickness. So there may be many reasons, not single one. So that's why we have to take care of many sides, then we may recover. If not, we'll die. Simple as that. Very fragile body we all have. Yeah.
Report number 2. Venerable Bhante, sitting practice. I can feel the heaviness of in-breath and warmness of the out-breath after about 5 to 10 minutes. It was also felt one prominent nostril for in-breath and out-breath. I can observe the beginning and end of in and out breaths. Walking practice. Few rounds after started, I feel roughness, smoothness and warmness to my feet. Sometimes heaviness of the foot also feels. Feelings get mixed from step to step. Your kind advice highly appreciate.
Can you repeat the last 2 sentences?
Yes. Sometimes heaviness of the foot also feels. Feelings get mixed from step to step.
I feel it's okay. So thing is, as we discussed yesterday, so these, recognizing each and every bit, each and every characteristics, carefully, correctly, distinctly, is indication that you are now not merely mindful, but your mind has certain amount of focus, clarity, maybe certain amount of penetrative abilities now developing. So as a result of that, you can discreetly know all the subtle details. Now the other side is, as you continue in this development, it may turn to another side, where so you recognize how transient they are, how quickly they come and go, and things are beyond your control. And so likewise, so you are getting to the level of universal characteristics, knowing after seeing the behavior of these different phenomena. Then the interesting thing is, so these phenomena then appear like blurred. Now you can't recognize their discrete characteristics. There are lines, there are borders. So now you can't say whether it is in-breath or out-breath, whether it is the beginning or end, or where exactly it is happening. So location-wise information lost. And the very discrete information lost. Something is there, but very much like mixed, like a flux. So that's another level. So don't think it's a kind of a downfall of your meditation, but it's a progress. So that's why we are doing these kind of discussions. So it's a kind of it is not that we are going to the ultimate, going to the infinity of the information. Rather, at one point it turns to the other side. So you are losing the information and it becomes blurred. Then you lose the interest. So your mind is no more interested about knowing all these. Rather, it likes to mind its own business. It prefers seclusion now. So things are there. They appear like a flux, not interesting, everything blurred, faded away. And now mind is developing the disenchantment, dispassion towards this whole process. Because it understood, it has gone through various stages, and now slowly it is separating from the process. So physical process is continuing, but mind is not interested to get involved with it, not to get attached with it, not grasping with it, rather maintaining certain amount of seclusion. So you need to recognize where you are. So am I just a beginner, just only started knowing the breath or any other characteristic? Or am I gone through this whole process? Now I come to the explained situation where the things are now getting blurred, mixed up, like a flux. So whether am I there? That we need to discuss and recognize. So whoever has written the question, if you need further clarification, we can discuss. Or else I assume that you have understood. Yeah, yours. Okay, please. Verbally, you can come forward.
It's like blurring the things.
Blurring the things.
Yeah.
Right. So just continue. So probably you can observe whether there are any little behavioral changes happening in you even. So assume that previously you are so interested about watching movies or being with the others and having parties and all these things, and little bit of fun, like prefer association and involving with many activities, occupying your mind with so many things. Assume that your character was like that. Now as a result of the practice, now it is shifting to a different side. Now where you prefer a little bit of seclusion, you want to have your own time, minding your own business, and not much interested about gratifying senses. Now you are very much going a little bit different path. So if that is also parallelly happening, then we can say yes, no problem, just continue. We are in the dispassion path. You are now relinquishing things. Mind is now slowly matured enough to relinquish things.
And when I'm going walk in meditation, when getting those information, I feel that whether I can avoid those information also.
No, let it happen naturally.
Right.
No need to purposely avoid it. So because the thing is, the more we know about their behavior, it develops certain amount of wisdom. Wisdom takes care of relinquishing. Wisdom is responsible for letting go, because it understood there is nothing there, nothing substantial there, nothing important there, nothing worthy of attaching. So it is the letting go process become more natural. It is not that you are pushing away things. Rather, letting go becomes a kind of a natural letting go.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, according to the previous question, when a mind comes to a point that it's no more interested, like,
Right.
so what is the next solution that possible?
The next solution is let the mind to realize that it can stay alone.
Yeah.
So typical, thing is, mind is used to hang on with something every time.
Yeah.
It requires something to hang on. It requires something to stand on.
Right.
But it has the capacity to be alone. Be free, be independent.
Right.
But unfortunately, we are dependent.
Yeah.
Always attaching something. Always want to, be with someone. Always want to hang on with someone.
Then if it happens, one has to sort of stop and again start meditation, or what really?
I didn't get your question.
What I'm trying to say is, while you are doing meditation for some time, if you can't sort of distinguish characteristics like the in, out, and so on and so forth, and if it goes like in a fluid fashion, like basically.
To what?
The mind concentration.
Mind concentration?
Yeah, in the sense like the mind is varying and it is sort of going out from your focus.
It can happen. So that's why.
That can happen.
The thing is, when we reach this area, there are few pitfalls. One thing is, you might have doubts.
Yeah.
So that is one major issue.
Yeah.
So you have doubts, what's going on, whether my meditation is collapsing, so I am not doing well. So, I am going through a downfall, because you are losing the information. Yeah. So, there was a full clarity and improvement of information, and now you turn to the other side.
Yeah.
So, there can be various doubts. That's one side. And now, since things are not interesting, you might fall asleep. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, so this area is little tricky, where you might feel not interested about even meditating. Not coming to Kalalgoda. So you want to abandon things. Okay, I'm not no more interested about this thing. So those are the other issues. And so the advice is just please continue. Just continue. Slowly, this is a kind of a transition period. So slowly navigating through the whole process. So then mind will understand, okay, I can be alone. I don't need this anymore. I can be independent. So so slowly you may come across certain symptoms how mind prefers this seclusion, and there are maybe instances mind has nothing basically. So it doesn't feel the body, doesn't have any feelings, no thoughts, nothing is there, but no wandering either. So mind is not distracted, but just stand still, stopped. No wavering, no pondering, no thinking, no shifting. Just be, just stand still, something like that. So when you are going through the process, time to time you may experience that, and you may feel kind of jerked. Okay, what's going on?
Thank you.
Report number 3, Theruvan Saranai, Venerable Bhante. When I was listening to Bhante's Dhamma sermon yesterday regarding cricket match and current affairs, I myself now not interested at all on these kind of things. I am like a puppet in front of my family members. They think that I have no sense. I wasn't like this before, but when I started following Nissarana meditation system, I felt I can live without these things. But to live in society, at office, with friends, you have to have this common sense. Sometimes in front of crowded places, gatherings, I don't have anything to talk. Earlier, I was angry with this behavior, but I adjusted and I know this is common. My family says I have to act, but sometimes I want to be who I am. Even though my mind is like that, when I was doing walking and sitting meditation, I observed full of thoughts with past and future things. I hardly feel in breath, out breath at sitting. Walking was not too bad. I realized sensations in front I realize sensations in different walking paths. All are not the same. Some paths have sand, some sand mixed with small stones. I have no regrets in sitting. I know this is my mind. I have to be with it, and I need to practice to understand the present moment. Mind is with in-breath or out-breath or with thoughts. Even mind is with thoughts. If I know where is it, I guess there is no harm. Please advise me to go ahead, Bhante. Much merit.
So I think according to the report, now you can give more prominence to the thoughts. Slowly you can start looking at thoughts, because now you have the capacity to look at thoughts are merely thoughts. They are not you, they don't belong to me. I don't definitely follow them. They are merely thoughts. They are coming and going. So slowly your mind start experiencing kind of a little joy, little bit of equanimity, and sometimes you may experience absence of thoughts. So this may be a little shortcut that you can try. So without watching the breath and the other sensations now, see whether you can totally handle through the Chittanupassana, totally going through various, recognizing different thoughts and not getting involved with them, by the way, and allow them to slowly pass away by themselves. Then time to time experiencing a little bit of calmness. No thoughts, there is no agitation, but kind of a calmness. So if such is possible, then that gives you certain amount of joy as well, certain amount of happiness also. Because sometimes this area could be dry, so as you have pointed out, so you appear like no one, appear like a puppet. But slowly you will understand, okay, I mean, no problem, I am happy. Happy with nothing. By the way, I mean, time to time you can watch a little bit of YouTube something, no worry. Maybe, little clip, just 5 minutes, just to entice, maybe. Because the thing is, you can't straight away go to the other side. You can't straight away practice to 90 degrees, crossing the river, very difficult. That's why there's a beautiful sutta called Ogatharana Sutta. That's the very first sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. So one Deva come and ask from the Buddha, how did you cross the flood? So then Buddha answers, without stopping and without struggling, I crossed the flood. And then he confused. He couldn't understand what he meant. Then he asked him to explain. And he says, if I stopped, I will sunk in, I will immersed. If I struggled, I will be carried away. So what are we going to do then? So you have to give a little bit of, time for the current also to take us, little bit of an enjoyment, but at the same time, trying to go to the other shore as well. Very much like you are swimming according to the diagonal, not directly with the 90 degrees. It's something like that. So time to time, therefore, just be with your friends, just be with your family members, and a little bit of enjoyment once a while. But still you can quickly come back. Still you have your own seclusion, say relaxing, no associations, just maintaining, yourself, be independent. Because it's like a child. So our mind is very much like a child. So it needs certain amount of happiness, needs certain amount of appreciation. But at the same time, we have to cross to the other side as well. So both are required. So then, with time you will understand, oh, now I have changed a little bit. Previously I need a lot of time to get involved with so many things, but I don't need them much now. But time to time I need a little bit of, chewing gum. But later, even that is not necessary, but still happy. Less demands coming from the mind. You are not that thirsty. So craving is like a thirst, asking this and that. So if you are not giving anything, it will struggle. So give a little bit. But later, You yourself see, but no much demands now coming. Maybe now it's a more matured, like it's kind of a maturity. You are going towards more matured life. Assume that in our childhood, so how many desires we had? Asking various toys and all these things. And once we receive the toy, we understand, okay, it's not good enough, I need a different one. So then as a youngster, you ask something else. As an adult, you ask something else. And then these previous needs become useless. You don't need toys anymore. So likewise, slowly we are maturing. But the interesting thing is that in this maturing path, now demands become less and less. So even though in the typical family life or typical mundane life, even though you become elderly, still you have demands. But here in the Dhamma path, when you are maturing, so demands become less and less. Without much things, you can be still quite contented, quite happy, having nothing basically. Still happy. So that was the question actually the scientists had. If you refer, there is one interesting, discussion made by Dr. Dhammika Ariyananda, who is closely attached with Nissarana. He's a psychiatrist, and he delivered a lecture on the scientific aspects of mindfulness. It's available in the YouTube. You can check the Satipasala website, scientific aspects of mindfulness. So he started mentioning. So the one problem that the scientist had was how come these forest monks are happy without much things. So they may be going with village Pindapata and receive something and still quite happy, living very joyfully. So how come? And you know that the happiest man in the world, what's his name? Matthew Richard. He's a Tibetan monk. You can search in the internet, just search happiest man in the world. He's called Matthew Richard. He's a Tibetan monk. It's scientifically proved. So these are not mere facts. So he has gone through series of scientific research, going through the fMRI, functional MRI machines, and recognize his certain parts of the brain, and all the the scientific measures indicating the happiness are very well triggered in his brain. So after a series of these experiments, so they have decided, or they have concluded, he's the happiest man in the world. But he's a monk. Nothing is there, by the way. Having less, he's happy. So as I mentioned yesterday about that Mo Gaudat, that Google CBO, Chief Business Officer, so he's also saying the same thing. He's not preaching about how to become a successful businessman, or how to become a successful engineer, or how to become a successful mathematician, or to win the whole world. Rather, he's teaching us how to become happy. Very interesting. So very successful people. So they are the world's successful people, but they are talking about basic things, happiness. That's the interesting part, by the way. They are not talking about how much you are going to earn, collect, asking more and more. So they are, without being afraid, they are telling, okay, I have everything, but that didn't make me happy. But now I have different aspects, I'm happy. Very, very interesting. So likewise, so the practice takes us to a more mature kind of a happiness. It doesn't mean that you don't get upset. It doesn't mean that you don't get frustrated, or you don't become unhappy. But you know how quickly to take the mind back to the middle. Time to time, many events happening in our lives makes us unhappy, makes us a little bit frustrated, not making us happy. Many events, say your children are not behaving the way you want, our government is not doing the best we want. Maybe the vehicle, even though expecting, doesn't come on time, like happened to me on yesterday. So expecting food to arrive on time, didn't come on time. So how quickly you can take your mind to the middle? Don't blame the person now. So he's giving us a lesson, teaching us a lesson. So how can I come to the happiness level, happiness range, without indulging in the unhappiness, without continuously, blaming, complaining about what has happened? So how can you be happy with what you have gone through? So these are very, very interesting. So all these challenges makes us shifted to the other side, that shifting to the negative side. But how quickly we can recover. So that is the resilience that we are developing. How quickly we can recover back. So the more we are developed, so more we can be in the middle. So very minor shifts are happening, not huge shifts. So the graph become more and more associated in the middle, not huge oscillations, something like that. So you recognize your own mind. How is behaving now? Are there any huge oscillations like you are, laughing and jumping and dancing? That's the one edge. Other edge is you are crying and weeping and, depressed. So that's the other edge. So where are you? No dancing. No more parties. No more tears. No more heartbreaks. And maintaining a little bit of middle and being capable of maintaining that middle more, longer time. That indicates that we are maturing. So less ups and downs. It doesn't mean that we are not coming across the challenges. Every day there are some amount of challenges, but how quickly we are able to recover. And on the other hand, how long are we maintaining or harboring the angry thoughts? Now say today situation, say we didn't receive food. Fine. So how long are we harboring that thought? How long are we thinking about it? How dare she didn't come on time? So are we maintaining that kind of a thought a long time, or I may simply let it go and just recover and just be happy? How quickly I can let go? So it depends on our ability to let go. How quickly we can be happy, isn't it? So Buddha's path in that sense tells us how quickly to be happy. And so this happiness is not that we are laughing and all, but more kind of a subtle happiness, very calm happiness, satisfaction is there. So that's the total theme of the last sutta of Majjhima Nikaya, Indriya Bhavana Sutta. How quickly we can come to the middle, how quickly you can recover, how quickly come to the middle, how quickly you can. So that person actually very resemble with the Buddha's teaching, that Mo Gaudat, he says he can quickly recover to the middle within 7 seconds. Can you? So very interesting. That's why I am promoting to listen to that talk. Very interesting. So he very, very interestingly say, and no word about the Buddha, but the whole explanation given totally Dhamma. Very interesting. And he says about this happiest man in the world, this Matthew Richard also about him. So he says, as a businessman, he had to associate all the world leaders, the presidents, the prime ministers, and all that high-notch guys. But when he start talking about the happiness, now he is talking to the Dalai Lama, to this, the mindfulness practitioners, to the this Matthew Richard. So he's now playing at a different level. So that is now he's promoting. Very interesting. And he says, now I can recover within 7 seconds. Very interesting, very practical. Very practical. Yeah. So let's try at least within 7 minutes. just to give the Kalalgoda record, you know. Right.
Report number 4. Most Venerable Bhante, sitting meditation. As you explained yesterday, according to Anapanasati Sutta, there are 16 steps to improve on concentrating on in-breath and out-breath. Even though I tried hard to sense breath at the nostrils, I didn't sense. But I sense rising and falling of the diaphragm and sometimes abdomen. Could you please guide me how to improve on this path? Theruvan Sarana.
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat?
Yeah. According to Anapanasati Sutta, there are 16 steps to improve on concentrating on in-breath and out-breath. Even though I tried hard to sense breath at the nostrils, I don't sense. But I sense rising and falling of the diaphragm and sometimes abdomen. Could you please guide me how to improve?
No, you don't need to shift. So when the breath disappears, don't jump to the, the rising and falling. Just be with the breath. Nothing is there. Just maintain your attention at the nostril, but nothing is there to observe. So you just hang on there. Just be there, without much events. So do you really need an event? Do you really need a phenomena to latch with? Or don't you need anything? That's why, even just now we have discussed. So your mind may improve, mature, without having anything now. It doesn't need any events, any triggers, any kind of, say, objects. The breath has become almost disappeared. Very, very subtle, nothing much. So don't fall asleep, don't doubt, and don't shift to another object. Just stay there for some time. So you start experiencing the samadhi, the concentration. So that is one area. And then as you are continuing, probably you may experience certain amount of rapture, happiness. So completely a different type of happiness. Not that you listening to music can become happy, or seeing beautiful scenery and become happy. So that is the one kind of happiness. But here you are getting a different kind of happiness. So then you are shifting to the Vedananupassana part. Now assume that you are in the Kanupassana. So in order to shift to or move towards the Vedananupassana, you have to stay a little calm there. So the next stage happens while you are staying there. So there are many possibilities. It is not that everybody will go through this Anapanasati path. Some may shift to another path. Don't worry about that either. Don't think that this is a hard and fast rule that everybody has to go through this Anapanasati path. It is not. Certain other paths are also available. Say, as you are maintaining or keeping your attention on the breath, so there are possibilities that various sensations throughout your body start appearing. You start noticing them. Slowly you can shift to them. You can recognize them, and you are into the Dhatu Manasikara, elements meditation. So those are other possibilities available. But for you to know where the path is taking me, you need to a little bit stay there. So don't jump to things. Just be there.
Report number 5. We like to go back to samadhi again and again once we experience the stillness of samadhi. Isn't this also clinging, upadana?
Yes, you are correct. But the thing is, first stabilize yourself, consolidate yourself in the samadhi. So don't think that you have to quickly throw away samadhi without properly holding it. Properly first you need to be familiar with it. So sometimes, even myself, I am not, promoting much about the samadhi, but it doesn't give a wrong impression that we should not develop samadhi. We first need to develop samadhi and need to have a certain amount of experience, have fair amount of familiarity there, and then only you are letting go of that. It is common to either samatha or to vipassana both. Particularly, assume you are practicing vipassana, say you are coming to a fairly higher level of vipassana, say you are capable of maintaining the mind without any object. So that you need to develop. So there again you may end up with animitta samadhi, appanihita samadhi, sunyata samadhi. So all these are different kinds of samadhi, concentrations. But you need to stay there. You need to maintain that state at least for 45 minutes. Then only you may understand, okay, now there's a considerable state of available, this kind of a state available in my mind. So you become familiar with it. Then it is registered in your mind. So assume that you are capable only to stay there for 1 minute. Not enough. So that's why, so depending on your practice, so you assume that you are capable of being in that signless level without much object, without any object, say about 5 minutes. And you tasted it. And now mind says, okay, please go there again. Craving, sure. But you need to develop that. Say now try to make it 10 minutes. Now mind says, good, maybe next time you try 15 minutes. Good, continue. Maybe about 35, 45, 50. By that time you may recognize, okay, now mind going through that. And once it reaches the end of the session, it ends up with certain symptoms. So I am going through kind of a cycle. So mind goes through a kind of a cycle and being in that samadhi and then ending and then emerging from that. Going through that samadhi, coming out, emerging from that. So that gives you kind of an energy to be in that. Now you don't need even the typical Vipassana practices to go there. You can simply jump to that. So in order to recognize that, in order to do that, actually the state has to be well registered in the mind. So you can't do that without, kind of an ambition, without having any kind of an encouragement for samadhi. You need to develop that samadhi, but later you need to give up. Nothing to hang on. So don't think that we are developing it to hold it, but to familiar with it and then to let go. So it's my hard-earned samadhi, boom, gone. So interesting thing. So while at Navayana, I developed all the samadhis. After coming back to Nissarana, let go of all the samadhis. Nothing is there. 6 years of practice, all gone. Very hard work. A lot of hard work. Dedicated hard work. Many samadhis, different kinds of concentrations. But after coming to the Satipatthana practice, I recognize, okay, this is a different path, very interesting path. Now no need any of these. Let me explore this path totally. So forget about all the other practices. Remember, 6 years dedicated practice. Everything let go of. If I was strongly attached to that, then I might not be able to experiment this side. The complete Vipassana path, complete mindfulness path, Satipatthana path. I might not be able to, investigate. But in this path, you come across various different samadhis. It is not lack of samadhis. It has more powerful samadhis. That's another interesting thing. So don't think that the samatha samadhis are the best ones. But the Vipassana samadhis are more powerful. So those are very, very interesting. Ultimately, you have no samadhi. How about such powerful? No samadhi. But interesting thing is, nothing is in the mind. So no concern, no defilements and no attachments. And you may feel like, I am not meditating now. Last years I was meditating, but I am not meditating now. Some yogis are complaining. Bante, I was, waking up very early and practicing hard, maintaining my schedule, but I don't feel like doing it now. Then I ask, okay, how many, are you feeling stressed? No. Are you going through a lot of thinking? Still no. Are there many thoughts in your mind? No. How about your mind? Very clear. Any attachments? No. Then what are you going to do? Practice samadhi? No. Just be. You can refer one interesting book by Ajahn Buddhadasa, very prominent monk in Thailand, now passed away, Ajahn Buddhadasa. So he encourages how we earn these samadhis and ultimately let go of and maintaining no samadhi, like almost like in the shallow concentrations, not in deep concentrations but in the shallow concentrations. So while you are maintaining the shallow concentrations, you are very vulnerable. So why are we maintaining very deep concentrations? Why? What's the problem? I mean, what's the advantage? Advantage is that you are very much like in a bunker where the mortar and all these things can't hit, because you are in a very strong concrete bunker. Once you come out of it, very fragile, very, very vulnerable to the situation. Anyone can attack. Where are the enemies? Inside the bunker or outside the bunker? Outside the bunker. Now the battle goes outside the bunker. So you have to be a brave soldier where you are doing the battle, going through the war outside the bunker, and slowly assume that you as a brave soldier, you are abandoning, rather say, abolishing, removing all the enemies. Now you can live as a peaceful person, no battle. You can go anywhere, no battle going on, no enemies. Something like that. Our path is very much like, at the beginning we have to develop certain amount of samadhi so that we are experiencing that, but slowly, while maintaining shallow samadhi, allowing mind to, or allowing concentration to break, allowing defilements to come, recognizing them and slowly abandoning them, so that defilements become weaker and weaker, and one day assume that you uproot the defilements, you are happy. And no need to go to any kind of deeper concentrations, but even at the surface level, no defilements, no attachment, no frustrations, no stress. Very interesting. So, I mean, to give you the best example, one time, one Jatila Therani, Jatila? Jatila is another ascetic group who were in the Buddha's time. And she actually asked from Venerable Ananda, Na sasankara niggaiha varitavato. So without making any kind of intentional arrangements, but still maintaining the mind in purity. Did Buddha mention something like that? So she's asking from Venerable Ananda. So he says yes. So that is actually, Venerable Ananda refers to it as to the Arahatta Pala Samadhi, where the very relaxed concentration. There is no any kind of effortful maintenance, but it is there. So mind is, there is no raga, dosa, moha. So to whom are you going to be afraid? Very interesting. So that indicates the direction where we need to move. So we are not arahants, but the direction is that. Say, while without having much effort, without having deep concentrations, are you able to have a pure mind? If not, why? Because of the defilements. Now, slowly recognize all these defilements and use various Vipassana techniques so that you can maintain the pure mind longer, with less effort, with less samadhi. Then one day you may be, can maintain that for longer time without much concentration, without much effort, but happy, no defilements, less defilements. So this indicates the path.
Report number 6. Visuddhi, Chitta Visuddhi and the others. Could these be elaborated if there is time?
There is time. How more questions are there? Is this the last one? Okay. Elaborated. Okay. So this is actually Chitta Visuddhi. So Chitta Visuddhi can explain in different ways. So some people, the traditional explanation is that you have to achieve the jhana. So jhana is considered as the achievement of the Chitta Visuddhi. But there are different, what you call the explanations. So what is Samma Samadhi? So what is Samma Samadhi? So there's a very beautiful article very much like a research paper published by Venerable Analeo, exploring, these concentration practices and the Vipassana practices, concentration in the early Buddhist teaching or something like that. If any one of you are interested, I can share that research article with you. And I discussed this during the Sutta teaching session on Wednesday. Probably Rohan can remember, I don't know. During the Sutta teaching session, I have discussed this, taking 2 days. You can listen to that. Very, very interesting. So the Samma Samadhi. So the very best explanation of Samma Samadhi comes in the Mahachattalisika Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya, where Buddha say all the other enlightenment factors are to be well aligned. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati. All are well aligned. Then you are in the Samma Samadhi. So Samma Samadhi is where all the other enlightenment factors or rather the path factors are well balanced, well aligned. Then that mind is called in the Samma Samadhi. So this is the very best explanation of Samma Samadhi. But certain other suttas, very few by the way, Venerable Analeo very beautifully, compare with the Tibetan and the Agama books coming from the Chinese. He compare very beautifully and say, after passing away of the Buddha, there's a great emphasis on the deep concentrations. But during the Buddha's time, he know the limit. So what is the necessary amount of concentration for the development of the path? But later, after passing away of the Buddha, so the monks didn't have much time, it seems. They have enough time to practice, but going through deeper concentration, so then they very much like introducing deeper concentrations as a must, jhanas as a must, and giving more emphasis to deeper concentrations. But on the other hand, so the Samma Samadhi is not the deeper concentration, deeper jhanas. Rather, Samma Samadhi is defined as when all the path factors are well aligned and the mind is in a very beautiful balance. So that is the Samma Samadhi. So you are not too much concentrated, you are not in a trance, and you are not completely distracted. But we are in a very, very beautiful balance in your mind. Equanimity. Equipoise. So that is what preferred as a Samma Samadhi. So therefore, I prefer that explanation. So in that sense, we can say Chitta Visuddhi is that, where the mind is in a well balanced, no defilements, and fairly, empowered with the path factors in a very beautiful balance. So like that. Seems well balanced. So any more questions? We have answered almost all, and we can spend a few more minutes if you have any questions.
Please raise your hand if you have anything to discuss.
Good. Okay, no questions. So we have spent 1 hour sharp, and we'll have the Dhamma sermon at 4 p.m. as usual. Thank you very much for participation.